Are we live? Yes, we are live. Welcome, everybody. It's Dan Latto speaking. Hope you're well today. We're in the Mindset and Hustle show. This show's really dedicated to dealing with like mindset and belief and values and all of that stuff that people don't really talk about. You know, when you go on training courses and people go, okay, let's talk about mindset for a second. And they literally talk about mindset for a second, 20 minutes max. And they say things like, be positive, write down your goals, woo, high five the person sat next to you. And it's like, that's not mindset. That's just like, be positive. How can you be positive when your world's falling apart? It just doesn't work, right? So really, this show is about giving you some tools and some strategies that you can use to strengthen that mindset. And the thing about mindset is it's like a muscle. So the more stuff that you've got to overcome and you overcome it, the stronger you are as an individual. And so we say this, you know, if you're a level 3 person and you've got a level 4 problem, you've got a problem, okay? And then when you overcome the level 4 problem, you become a level 5 person, and then you have a level 6 problem, you've got a problem. But then you become a level 7 person, and then you get a level 8 problem, and then you have to overcome that one. So you become a level 9. And this, by the way, doesn't stop. It goes on and on and on, ad infinitum. Do you like my Latin there? It goes on forever, and there's nothing that you can do that's really going to change that. And that's the whole point, because when you get to level 50 or level 80 or level 1 million, and you look back at all those other people who are still dealing with problems at the level 3, 4, 5, whatever that needs to be, you're up here and they're still dealing with stuff down here. You've overcome all the problems. That's what coaching is about. We've overcome enough problems in life, but we know how to fix an awful lot of them because we've had them, right? We've gone through family court. We've had cars repossessed. We've gone through all that. And then we know what mistakes we've made, and we can help you learn not to make the same mistakes, keep a good eye on cash flow, make sure your targets are there, keep putting every foot forward, every single step, you know, then the next step, and then the next step. We've gone through everything. And so we can share our experience. But in this session today, I want to talk about joint ventures because I see a lot of people wanting to do joint ventures, and I'm not a great lover of joint ventures. He says, having just done a joint venture, 2 joint ventures. We've just taken on 2 businesses. One of them is a lettings agency that I acquired 50% of. So I have a joint venture partner there. That works incredibly well. And then I've also got another business where we are buying other businesses. So we have a whole bucket full of joint venture partners in there. And so there are certain things that you need to put in place if you're going to be a joint venture partner. But also, I see a lot of people feeling worried or self-conscious that they're not good enough and they're going to get found out in some way. So look, let's just deal with that. We call this the Imposter Syndrome. And it's like we're all wearing masks and we feel that, oh, but if we get found out, we're going to discover some secret about you, that you're not good enough. That Dan, he's really not good enough, you know. No, he's not good enough. I know for a fact he's not good enough because, and then you make up all these wild assertions as to why you feel you're not good enough. And you kind of try and hide it because your belief system isn't powerful or strong enough to overcome it. So what happens, this definitely happened to me, is you reach a point where you end up just not giving a shit about what other people think about it. Like, I really don't care. Do I get hurt sometimes by some comments that people make that are completely made up? Absolutely. Who wouldn't get upset by that? But then you reach a point and you're like, you know what, that's fine. That's just your view of the world. That's how you perceive the world. That's how you perceive me. It doesn't mean it's true. And I'm totally okay with that, which is really interesting. We had a strategy session which we cancelled with somebody, and I just got this feeling that it wasn't a good match. And we only work with people we really want to work with because we're not desperate for money or any of that kind of thing. So we have a choice. So we cancelled the session. I didn't see the email. They were kind of kicking off, and then they're in our email list right now. And they got an email yesterday, and they were kind of uppity with me, saying, "Well, you cancelled it, the strategy session." And I'm like, "Yeah, sorry about that. It's an automated email. I'll delete the email." And then their response, I'll delete their email address inside the system. Their response was really quite uppity. And you know that initial feeling of the strategy session is like, yeah, you just reminded me why we didn't want to run the strategy session with you. And I actually typed a response and then I deleted it, and it's just, you know, we just let it go. Like 10 years ago, I would have battled them. Well, I'm better than you. And it's like, honestly, it makes no difference. All that happens is you end up with this explosion of an argument. They go write something on the online internet, which is all online, but they write something online which is blatantly not true, or just from one side without the full facts and out of context, and it just doesn't help anybody. So it's like, just walk away from that, you know. So the second that you reach a point where actually you don't really mind what people think about you, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. It might be incorrect, it might be correct. It's nothing to do with me. My job is to try and put out that I'm a nice guy, and if people believe that, great, and if people don't, that's fine too. It's nothing to do with me. But people worry about this, and when you reach a point where you stop worrying about it, that level right there is empowerment, right? Someone's saying hi. Please put your name in, because I can't tell who is saying hello, but just put your name in down below. That's useful. So that level where you reach a point where you don't care about what other people think is an empowered level. But this is only when it's people who you have no idea who they are. And I always say, would I take financial advice off this person? And if the answer is yes, then I might want to listen to what they've got to say. But if the answer is no, like, why would their opinion about me matter in any way, shape, or form? So, and it shouldn't. That's the whole point. You know, I wouldn't take advice from you, so why should I take criticism from you? Why would I do that? But let's talk about joint venture partnerships, because actually this is where you should care about what other people think of you. But it's for strangers, the internet trolls. Hey, Camille, good to have you on. It's the trolls, the strangers, the people who've never met you. You don't even know who any of these people are. They know you. You have no idea who these people are. And it's those people that you shouldn't really care about what they think of you. Like, I'm not saying you go out and be nasty, but you go out and be you. And some people love you, some people hate you. That's fine. But when you're dealing with joint venture partners, you've got to be setting a particular standard in the way that you are, your attitude, your values, because you're relying on each other. You are literally putting your life into somebody else's hands, your financial well-being into somebody else's hands. And so what can happen sometimes is that people generally don't feel good enough in a joint venture partnership. So, like, I'm in one joint venture partnership right now with 4 of us in total. One person looks after the numbers, a lot of business experience, does all the accountability stuff. I do all the marketing, and then the other 2 guys do all the delivery of the product. And it works incredibly well because we've got a demarcation of skills of what we do and what our tasks are. One person does accounting type things and business management and business strategy. Another person, me, does all the marketing, and 2 other people do all the delivery of the product. And it works very well. But even I have had moments where you don't feel good enough, and I've spoken with one of the other partners, and they've also had the same feeling as well, which I thought was really interesting. Because here I am admiring this person, and they feel sometimes that they don't bring enough to the party, kind of thing. It's a fairly normal thing to do, and it's kind of like imposter syndrome. Let me tell you this: those people who fake it do not suffer from imposter syndrome. There's a couple of people I can think of right now who are well known on the property circuit. They don't have property syndrome. They don't have imposter syndrome, even though they are faking it till they make it. They just don't feel it. But those people are true, authentic, original, have actually made a lot of money in property. They're always worried about what other people think, that maybe they're not good enough. They've got millions of pounds of properties, and they still feel sometimes that they're an imposter, that they're faking it. Even though they've got houses that pay cash flow, they drive very nice cars, go on nice holidays, have properties around the world, and they still feel like they've got this imposter syndrome, or they feel like they're not good enough. Let's just cover a couple of these off. I've got 4 that I'm going to go through in today's session. If you've got any comments, just stick them in the box down below. If you want to say hello, you can come and say hello. I always like questions and answers and people engaging and joining in. It's an interactive session. That's the whole point, makes it even better. So number 1 then is that, first of all, everybody else feels the same. So when you go into some form of joint venture partnership, it depends how well you know each other as well. And I would also, by the way, say never go into a partnership with friends. Like, people who you know, connections, that's fine. But if it's a friend, if you need to bring them up to scratch on their performance, it's much harder to do that as a friend, and it just comes across as being a very personal kind of issue. And the thing that you want to be doing here is that you want to have clearly defined. So let's say there's 4 people on a joint venture in some form. Okay, what you want to do is you want to have very clearly defined roles of what each person is supposed to do. Okay, every single person in this needs very clearly defined roles. Now, that's not to say that 2 people might share some of those roles. Okay, but you've got to get very explicit on what those roles are, so everybody knows where we call this a boundary condition in NLP, by the way, but everybody knows what the boundary is and whether they should cross that line and whether that's their job or somebody else's job. Unions would call this a demarcation dispute, where one person's trying to take over another person's job. But if you have very clearly defined roles, and these roles should be written down, they should be in a contract somewhere, everybody knows what it is, and they can be subject to change as long as everybody agrees. But this is a really good way of doing it, because everybody, by the way, depending how well you know them, everybody feels the same right at the start, because most people have it like this. It's the same thing, but these are really fluffy lines. This person, let me just make this a bit more extreme, actually. Like, where's this person supposed to be? Here or here? Because that's this box right here, that's the unknown. That's where issues happen, right? Here, everybody knows where the line is. You know the line is there. You know that this is my job. Here, unless this is really clearly defined, like here and here, again, this amount here is unknown. That's where the arguments are going to start up. So although everybody is going to feel the same right at the start, if everybody knows exactly what their job is and whose responsibility is it to find clients, whose responsibility, let's put that in there, whose responsibility is it to deliver, whose responsibility is it to make sure that all the numbers work, whose responsibility is it for HR, and what about overall business strategy? And that might be everybody's. And then they have a document that's written up that details what the business strategy is. Everybody signs it off. Everybody has tasks associated with them. That's going to work really well for you. But the key here is 2 things. Number 1 is that everyone's going to feel exactly the same. And then the second bit is that you're going to solve that by making sure everybody has very clearly defined guidelines as to what their job actually is or actually isn't. If you've got any comments about that, stick them in the box down below. Next one then is not just having clearly defined roles, but what are the requirements or what are the resources and who's going to pay for that and where does that come from? So let's just say, let's change that into marketing. So if one person's job is marketing, so for example, that's my job, what resources would I need in this partnership to do the marketing properly? Because I don't sit and do the marketing myself. I've got a whole team of people. So I've got a marketing business, and each one of these is a person. Who's going to pay for that? Where's the money coming from to pay for that? So the point here is, where's the resources? HR might need a lawyer person. What is that? That's a lawyer. They might need them on retention. Who's going to pay for that and where does it come from? What resources? What about the delivery? Work people. People who actually do the work. The people who are delivering the product. What resources do they need? And if this is not discussed at any point, and you just go, well, I'll do marketing, well, I'll do delivery, well, I'll do the accounts, well, I'll do HR. What resources are needed? This is going to be a bone of contention. And so don't forget, the idea here is to remove the unknowns in a joint venture partnership. Because when you begin to remove the unknowns, you end up with knowns, right? You know, you don't know what you don't know until you find out that you don't know it, right? So let's get rid of all the things that we don't know. And there's a lot more things that we don't know than there are things that we do know, right? So everything inside this circle is what we know. Everything outside of that circle is what we don't know. So if we can actually get a list, that we're not going to be able to get a list of absolutely everything. It's impossible. It's infinity long. But if you can get a list of the main things, marketing, HR, accountants, delivery, whatever else needs to go into a business, well, I need this set of resources, I need this set of resources, well, I need this set of resources. Everybody's on the same page. Nobody can argue and go, well, I didn't know, Dan, that you needed all these resources. Yeah, you did. I told you. It's in the document that you signed, that you said that you read. It's a much better way of getting through the joint venture minefield. And this is what tends to happen, is that you have two people. Okay, let's do this as a diagram as well. This is what tends to happen with joint ventures, and it drives me mad. So let me just cover it here. So you have two people. This is a joint venture partnership. Okay, two people. And I can put a box around this as well. Okay, this is their business. You've got two people. This person has got similar skills to this person. Okay, and they come together because they've got similar skills. Now, it's up to you to decide whether that works in that business. I would suggest not. You want this person to have one set of skills and this person to have a different set of skills. Otherwise, you're just doing the same job. But the problem is that this person needs a task doing, or they agree that a task will be done. This person thinks they're going to do it, and this person thinks they're going to do it. They don't put in any checks. There's no task list. There's no targets. So this person automatically thinks that person is doing it, and they go 2 weeks later, have you done it? And they go, no, I thought you were doing it. No, I thought you were doing it. No, we agreed you were doing it. Well, is it written down anywhere? No, we don't write things down because we've been mates 20 years, and I've trusted you that you were going to do this, and now you haven't done it. Can you see how this can get worse and worse and worse? We talk about people doing JVs in property. It scares the living bejeebies, that is a word, it scares the living bejeebies out of me because I'm like, well, hang on. Well, I'm bringing the money and they're bringing the project. So what's the percentage? Is it 50-50? And they're going, well, no, I'm at far more risk. So it should be 70-30. 70-30, that's a 3. Oh, I really messed it up, haven't I? And do you see what I mean? And now the whole balance has shifted because now on this project, they're less involved because they're only getting 30% and they're more involved. And so more stuff is going to go to this person because they're like, well, I'm going to give it to you. You're 70%, mate. You do it. And so, well, the whole point here is that you need to be very clear on what the roles are and what the tasks are, because if not, this is going to go vastly wrong. All right, number 3, keep a list of what you're good at. So this is for you as an individual. If you're feeling sometimes like you're going to get found out, like you're feeling not confident, that you're not bringing enough to the party. This can happen, by the way, for you working with you, and I would highly recommend this. I actually use my spreadsheet for this because my spreadsheet is related to income, where the money comes, it's related to wealth, and when I feel down, I can go and have a look at that, and magically I feel better because it's a decent spreadsheet. But what you could also do is you could go look at a list of other amazing things that you've done to remind yourself. Because as humans, we are so good at beating ourselves up about not being amazing and not being Superman all the time and not being the best dad in the world and the best husband in the world and the best business partner and the best this and the best everything, right? It can drive you absolutely insane. I know it does me. So this is what I do. And I must admit, I don't need it as much these days because I don't second guess myself as much. But when I did, this is what I would do. I would write down a list of all the stuff that I used to do. So, a millionaire by 30. I had £1 million of equity in my property by the age of 30. That's pretty good. Broke an arrow with my throat. Literally, you put an arrow there, don't do this, put an arrow there, someone holds it, you step into it, and you split the arrow. Pretty cool stuff, I think. I've done a firewalk. Owner of several businesses. Cash flow positive. Zero bad debt. How can I put this one? Allocates time for family. Like, listen to the language. The language is really important. This is mindset, right? Language is the most important thing in mindset. how you talk to yourself, how the language that you use. For languages, allocates time. Now, you can use the word allocate, you could use the word spend. Allocate means you set the time aside, but you might not implement it, if that makes sense. So I'm going to use allocate and spends family time. Apologies if this is falling off the end. So like that is me today. All of this is me today, but this one in particular I'm very proud of because I can allocate that time. If it's Monday mornings, great. If it needs 2 hours to go, like it's Friday today. We've been out today, buying the little one who's just finished school, buying her some end of school gifts, toys, some cushions for the bed. We bought ourselves some stuff for the garden because we should reward ourselves too. But it's like write down your list. And by the way, this list, if you've not done some of this, this list could also be your target for next year, or the next 5 years, or the next 10 years. So this is either stuff you've already done, in which case it should go on, but you should have a list of targets, stuff that you would like to do. Spent about £120,000 on courses, on personal development courses. I've done Tony Robbins, NLP, firewalks. Spent £5,000 on a 2-day course in Vegas, which wasn't value for money. It's not just about spending the money. I did actually once work out the time, and I don't know how many days I've actually spent on personal development, but it is a significant amount in the last 10 years, for absolute sure. So let's just put time invested, personal development. So I remember having an argument with somebody who's in property right now and runs large training courses for people in property. And they wanted me to pay 500 quid to go on some training. I was coaching their clients. They wanted me to pay £500 to his partner, incidentally, along with 10 other coaches for a 2-day training. And I'm like, why am I giving you money for 2-day training? Well, we want everyone up to the same level. Oh, I see. Millionaire by 30. Are they all millionaires by 30? Well, no. Okay, so come back to me when they've got millionaire by 30 then. Are they NLP qualified? Well, no. Okay. Have they had their kids abducted and got through it? No. Okay. So come back to me when they have. It's like, if you're feeling vulnerable or your belief system is that you're not bringing enough to the party, you can look at this and you can, when people go, I don't think you're doing enough. Dude, are you kidding me? I broke an arrow with my throat. Have you done that? Shut up then, right? I've done a firewalk. We've done all this stuff, right? You can go back to it. And I'm not saying that you have to have an argument with a joint venture partner, because that's really what you shouldn't be doing. But you can have an argument with yourself and going, yo, you're not good enough, Dan. And you go, are you kidding me? I'm more than good enough. This is not even half of what we've done. I can't remember it. And that's the point, is that we can't remember how good we are. We forget. We're just human. You bang your knee on your desk and you go, oh, you're such an idiot, Dan. Why are you such an idiot? Why does nothing ever work for you? I've said those words in the last 12 months. You're such an idiot. Nothing ever worked. Are you kidding me? That's human. That's who we are. It's ridiculous as a species about how bad we are. Okay, let's get rid of that. Is that useful for you? Please let me know if it is. And if it's not, that's all right. Number 4, which I'll get to in a second. Number 4 then is recognize that these times will pass. So when you first start anything new, you don't know what on earth's going on. We actually call this the S-curve. So it looks like this. The S-curve is where you start a new venture and you start here. So you're starting a brand new joint venture. Let me just make sure you can see this on the screen. Yes, you can. If you've got any comments, by the way, please stick them in down below. You start off on a new venture and you're going to start here, okay? You got some knowledge, or you have some perceived knowledge. You think you know more than you actually do. So up here is knowledge and experience, and here is time. You start off on your new joint venture experience and you think you know what you're doing. So, I know how to do this. And then you get more experience and more knowledge. Actually, let's just change that to, Yeah, let's change it to a different word. I want a different word here. I want efficiency. Efficiency. So this is time, knowledge, experience. Because over time, you get more knowledge, you get more experience. Your efficiency is here. You start off thinking you know what you're going to do. You get to this point here and you realize that you didn't know actually what you thought you did, and you weren't as good as you thought you did because the job is different. You know, this could be a brand new job. It could be you starting to work out. It could be you doing a joint venture partnership. It could be anything. It could be a brand new relationship. You start a relationship up here thinking everything's great, and then you find out that your partner is one of those people who claps when a plane lands. Like, imagine that. Imagine meeting the person of your dreams to simply find out you've gone on holiday and the person claps when a plane lands. Imagine how bad that would be. It's one of my little bugbears. Please give me a like if that's one of yours. So your efficiency is going to drop as time progresses because you then find out that you don't know as much as you thought you did. But this is where the magic happens. Right here, as your time increases, your knowledge is increasing and your experience is increasing. So this is where you start and look at the difference. And actually, this is the difference here as well. Because you start off really well, then you find out you don't know as much as you thought you did. And then the real learning, the real experience kicks in. This is any joint venture partnership. This is your relationship with someone in a joint venture partnership. You start off thinking everything's great. Then you have a few hiccups along the way because they're doing stuff that you're like, oh, why are you doing that? And then you get used to having a joint venture partnership. And then it starts to improve along the way. Okay? And actually, on an S curve, which is what this is, this generally drops off because you kind of get over familiar. Okay, I don't think that's that bad, but what you want to do and be consciously aware of recognizing that this is heading downwards is you want to turn that into an S curve as well. That's a little bit too perpendicular, is that? Let me redo it. I want to get this right for you because it doesn't work like that. It goes like this. Okay, and after you've got that one, it's gone off the screen. But when you've got that one, you'll have another one, a bigger one. Okay, and this is experience every single day. You're getting new experiences, new communications. So you're learning, you're getting more knowledge. And so this is what will make the difference over a period of time. And that, my friends, are the 4 things that you can do if you're feeling a little bit negative or you're feeling like you're not bringing enough to the party and you're feeling a little bit kind of delicate in that situation. And by the way, all of your joint venture partners will be feeling the same depending on a couple of different things. So have they done a joint venture before? Have they got business partners? Because there's a particular way that you should act with a business partner, right? It's not all about friendship, for example, because sometimes you have to pull people up and go, you said, do you remember this diagram from the start? This one? These are very clearly defined boundaries. You said you were going to do this and you haven't done this. And now I've had to do it. I need you to step up and do this, please, because it's ruining what I need to do. Me covering for you is stopping me doing what I need to do. And you might need to have some of those conversations, and they're awkward conversations, they're hard work. And you're worrying about upsetting people, and that's right, you should be, but that's not to say that you shouldn't have them, because the business becomes a much stronger business. Obviously, everything helps when you take it with a pinch of salt. So if you're not taking things personally, don't take things to heart, don't think they're constantly having a gripe at you. And if you do feel that, you've got to get this out into the open. And you've got to say words like, I feel like you're always having a gripe at me. And they will go, I am always having a gripe at you about that particular thing because you never do it properly. Or you never even do it. So can you please do it? And then I won't have to have that conversation. And as hard as this conversation is, I mean it with love and friendship and for the good wealth of a business, well-being of a business. Let's do this, let's sort it, let's move upwards. Brilliant conversation to have. And that's you managing your joint venture partnerships in a way that's respectful. Both parties will respect it, both parties appreciate it, and the business just moves on to this next level. All of this right here is one giant business. The idea is that the business is going up in one direction. More income, more time off, more staff, more sales, more profitability, whatever it is that you started the business for. So let me just see. I don't think there's anybody who's asked any questions there. Is that useful for you? We're going to call it there, I think. So today's Friday. We're back live on Monday in the Business Growth Show, 12 o'clock on Monday. Fingers crossed. Should be 12 o'clock. If you've missed any of these, you can go find the podcast at daniellatto.co.uk/podcast. We've got over 400 podcasts. You can download them. You can listen to them while you're at the gym, while you're cooking dinner, while you're driving, whatever you want to do. They're all available on iTunes. They're available on Stitcher. Go and take a look. Other than that, we're going to catch up with you on Monday. If you've got any questions about business, drop them in the box. I'll see them, and I can go live about that on Monday and hopefully answer some of those questions. Other than that, we'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend, folks. Take care.